Okay, welcome to today's class, which is on subject-verb agreement, which you might expect to be easy, and if you do, you are wrong. It's not easy. It's because you get a lot of conflicting information online, for example. One dictionary will say one thing, another dictionary will say another. One style guide wants you to do this, another style guide wants you to do that. Sometimes people, when they use formal English, they use one method, and informally they use another method. And so it's quite difficult, subject-verb agreement. It's not an easy topic to teach. So I'll try to go through it carefully, step by step. Now, firstly, let's look at conjunctions. Two conjunctions, or three to be precise. Firstly, and, which is always plural. Well, I shouldn't say always, which is most of the time plural. If you've got an X and a Y, most of the time it's plural. But there are a few exceptions that we will look at in a moment. But when you say 3 boys and 1 girl, well, this should not be has, because has is 1 man has, 1 dog has, 1 person has, but 2 dogs have, 2 people have, 4 people have. This is 4 people, 3 boys and 1 girl, so it's have, it's not has. And so what I'm trying to say here is that if you have one thing and another thing, you've got 2 things, or here we've got 4 things, okay? You've got 2 things or more, so you need plural. You need have, or you need go, or you need play. You know, 3 boys and 1 girl play football. 3 boys and 1 girl go to the shops. Yeah, so it's go, have, play. It's the plural form of the verb, okay? So anytime you've got an and, most of the time it will be plural. But what about these exceptions? Well, here are some exceptions. Firstly, there is. Yeah, when you start with there, when you start with the dummy pronoun there, and we very often do this, yeah, there is, there are, but what comes after the is or are is a man and a woman, so one thing and another thing, only this determines the verb. And so we say there is a man and a woman. And that should be very illogical considering what I've just told you here, because surely it should be there are a man and a woman. And if some of you think so, well, I have a lot of sympathy because I think so as well. Certainly, according to this rule, it ought to be there are a man and a woman. Now, you can check on something called Google Ngrams how many times the computer, how many times Google finds there is a man and a woman and there are a man and a woman in lots of different texts. It does a search, you know, it's a search engine, and it will give you a graph, and you will see that there is a man and a woman is more common than there are a man and a woman. But still, some people say there are a man and a woman, and it's not just, I don't know, people that don't speak English to a very high level. It's Charles Dickens. If any of you have read A Tale of Two Cities, on the very first page, in the 2nd or 3rd paragraph, you will read, there were, not there was, but there were a king and a queen. It's actually much longer than that. It's there were a king with a square jaw and a queen with a plain face in England, something like that. And then it talks about France in Paris, you know, because it's a tale of 2 cities, London and Paris. But notice he says there were a king and a queen. He disregards this exception rule. And this is what I mean by subject-verb agreement is hard. You know, as soon as you learn one rule, you find somebody breaking that rule. And very often it's someone like Charles Dickens. It's someone who's a big name in English. But generally speaking, most people would say there is a man and a woman, or there was a man and a woman. They would use singular here because the first noun is singular, even though we've got an and there. And so be aware of this. I recommend that you do use there is if you say a man and a woman, but I'm well aware that I have read A Tale of Two Cities, and I've read other texts where I see there were X and Y, or there are X and Y. So some people still think that you should use a plural verb for when you have something with an and after there is, okay? But many don't. And so I'm going to leave that up to you. I actually recommend that you use this one. You can, of course, rewrite the sentence to get rid of the there, but if you really want to keep it, I do recommend this one just because it's more common than there are a man and a woman. But some people do say that. And I know many of you won't like this, that I'm leaving you, leaving it up to you really, and saying, well, some people say there are a man and a woman, including people like Charles Dickens. But most of the time now, people would say there is a man and a woman. There is a chair and a table in my bedroom. Yeah, there is a TV and a radio in my bedroom. There is a blue pen and a red pen on the table. Most would say that. Yeah, and because most native speakers would say that, I think we can now say that it's become part of the rules of the language. But some don't, you know, and so this is a tricky issue.